Hey guys, welcome to another week of the Unfiltered Cybersecurity Talk. You got me, you got Bob in New Jersey, we got Chris out in
Where does Chris live?
Oh, Metro Detroit,
and we,
Michigan.
Detroit, and we got Matt out in Pittsburgh. Anyway, I kind of forgot where everybody was today because I don't know. We just coming off the 4th of July weekend and everything was pretty good there.
We're not always in those places.
Can I say something about Pittsburgh real quick, please? You're doing Paul Skeens dirty. All right, enough of that. If you don't know who that is, just look it up.
That's a rabbit hole we don't have an unfiltered time for.
So anyway, I figured we could talk a little bit about what's going on with cybersecurity insurance. It's it's not necessarily a sexy topic on the cyber side. People are like, oh, I can get cybersecurity insurance. I don't have to do anything. And I was on a call this week, and so I grabbed these screenshots during the call, and there was some interesting things that's happening in the cyberspace that I thought we would probably talk about. Specifically, this one's an application from Beasley, but it really doesn't matter what the cyber carrier is. They've all got similar surveys now about what's going on. And,
this doesn't specifically mean a large business. This is any business.
Yeah.
Okay. Small or large. Because we know that they separate their applications between $250 million and below of revenue and $251 million and above.
Well, that would be a big cyber policy.
That would be a very big cyber.
But this is a supplemental application to that cyber policy, and there's not a different version of this. This applies to everybody. So we want to be clear on that.
Right now, what I've got up on the screen is just the ransomware supplemental application that got tagged on to their cyber policy. And Chris, you looked at this, and there was some interesting call outs right up front.
Yeah. One, they're asking for your budget, your annual IT budget. First of all, you guys, how many people have you talked to and sold to that actually have a defined annual IT budget?
Whatever it takes, or the bare minimum is what I'm hearing most of the time.
we've been doing this for a long time, and I've even talked to larger companies. We're talking companies that are between $250 million and $500 million, and they almost never have annual IT budget. So if you have an annual IT budget and it's defined, please let us know. I'd love to give you a hug or something, or at least high five you for having a budget. But the big thing here is they want your budget, but then they want the percentage that's spent on cybersecurity. And they don't give you any other information other than that. They don't say, hey, you should be spending this, whatever. They're just like, no, we just want a percentage. And what's interesting about this too is, do you guys see a line there where that people have outsourced their IT? This looks like it's internal.
Yeah. Number of full-time employees.
Yeah, and it's not giving you an option to say, hey, we outsource it. And also, how many of you out there have a CISO? Chief Information Security Officer or equivalent, which is going to be a Chief Information Security Officer.
Depending on your industry now, that's a required thing, either internal or external source. So,
Yep. So it's interesting to me that they don't have like an outsourced version of this. So you may have to actually do some work with them to let them know that you're using this. You're using external IT, or outsourced IT, but also you're going to have a cybersecurity point of contact that's a CISO. I'm assuming that can be internal or external, but you need to have that. I've been talking to companies about this, why they need this role for a long time. And this is actually, I'm going to use this application because this is amazing.
That's why we're talking about it today, Chris, because we need to get this one out. So, and then further down in some of the other applications. Now, this may or may not be the same Beasley application based on where I grabbed some of these screenshots from, but they're asking on the cyber application, business continuity planning. Have you actually conducted a pen test, a tabletop exercise in the past 2 years? And most businesses are like, no, I didn't do that, or what is a tabletop exercise? And this one goes a little deeper. And this was from the ransomware one, because they're asking, did it include a ransomware threat? What do you do?
We're going through an exercise right now with one of our customers who's not a big customer from a revenue standpoint. I mean, they have a good business, but I mean, they're not $250 million or whatever. And they're getting asked, in addition to this, do you have a business continuity and disaster recovery plan for IT services? Do you have that defined? So
It's
what
funny.
they're asking up there, they broke that out into multiple questions on 45 there. They broke it out in multiple questions, and or the equivalent is what they said.
Well, actually, I think you just jumped into the in the next plan. The application goes down a little further and then broke it apart.
Mm-hmm.
So this one that we're talking about is this is still the Beasley application. I've seen it on Travelers as well. So,
and then they would go dive. One of them was diving into deeper controls that they have in there. What's your destruction policy? But I like the one at the bottom. Do you have a written information security plan? And written is bolded there. It's like, it's not just a wish list thing of, my IT guy's got it covered. This is like, show me the paper.
It's a napkin.
Well, I think the show me is the important part, because when it came to the last pen test, last tabletop, they want dates. If it comes to an incident and you asking your policy to pay out, they're going to require proof. It's not really that different from auto insurance, in the sense that if you're having a lot of wrecks, they're not going to pay out. I mean, they're in this to make money. They're not, a free service. Their job's to unfortunately not pay out as much as they want them to.
So Matt, in that auto example, if you're driving a car that hasn't been inspected for 5 years and you kept skipping it, and you get into an accident because of a defect that would have been covered during an auto inspection, they might not pay.
Might not pay. Probably won't pay in that case.
Auto inspection. Who does that?
You guys in Michigan drive till your bumpers fall off.
Oh,
you guys are weird.
They don't test anything here.
We have yearly auto inspection here to make sure our brakes function.
Yeah, New Jersey used to kick the tires and do stuff. Now they don't do anything but plug it in. But
can you imagine if they told me that I need to take my car for an emissions test? I'd laugh at them. I have an EV, by the way. So
the only admissions are coming out of Chris after Taco Bell.
Oh,
that's. And I think there's one more slide that we got from this. Oh, the other screen, I think, is they're asking the companies to look back for 5 years. Did you have any any complaints? Did you have any cyber incidences, or what actually happened? And how many people actually have documentation going back 5 years of what happened?
Also, look at that. Did you even get a subpoena for an alleged violation? Not even a proven one, alleged. Dang. They're getting serious with this stuff.
They're looking to lower their risk.
That's trying to get out of it.
And it's got a $25,000 limit on the bottom for an insurance claim. When we worked with somebody that had a business email compromise for I think it was a 6-user company, the forensic work alone was $35,000.
Well, if the breach is bad enough, just paying for credit monitoring is going to be like, if your insurance didn't pay for it.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to just share with everyone, that cyber attacks are way up, but insurance renewals are a never-ending hurdle now.
And we've talked about this before, though. You're going to face these same questions if you go to court.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If you have a breach and you get sued by somebody because you lost their information, if you don't think you're going to get asked these similar questions, you're kind of kidding yourself. So this is like a good barometer of how your cybersecurity program is in your company. And when you say, Chris, I don't have a cybersecurity program in my company, I will say, I know, because most companies that are not enterprises just don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris, aren't you taking care of that for me?
Oh, I've had that conversation. I think there's a big problem in the industry, and I think we kind of created it. And by we, I don't necessarily mean us. I mean just the industry in general. When we come in and we started offering managed IT services to people, we said, hey, we're going to do it all. Well, do it all for us means we're going to help you manage your IT. That doesn't include business continuity planning. That doesn't include disaster recovery planning. That doesn't include incident response planning. It doesn't include playbooks on that. However, people assume it does.
Mm-hmm.
In what other industry do people do that? If you go to your doctor and your doctor gives you, you have an injury or something like that, and your doctor prescribes you something, whether it's going to be surgery, whether it's a drug, whether it's physical therapy, do you just expect that you're not going to pay any more than the doctor's visit?
No, there's always a cost.
Right.
Well,
Why?
I feel like part of this is things used to be so much simpler. 15 years ago, we honestly could go in and be like, we'll do it all. But
sure,
times have changed. Things have changed.
But the mindset of the customer hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
They think because we're doing IT that we're responsible for all this other stuff. And when you talk to people and they're shocked that you're not. But the reality is if you go hire a lawyer for a traffic violation, do you expect that same lawyer to represent you in family court and represent in a business case? The answer is no.
Well, and these are things we can help with. We have resources, but it's still not outsourceable.
It is.
There still has to be ownership. There has to be processes. There has to be documentation, and that's where we can help. But it's an internal, operational thing that needs to come from the top down. It's not a checkbox.
I think the easiest way to say this is IT keeps your business running. Cybersecurity keeps your business safe. They're two different things. They're about your business and about. We have to separate them. We have to do a better job as an industry of educating customers on this and letting them know that, look, there's a finite deliverable here and we don't go beyond that. And every time we cheat ourselves and go beyond that, and I'm guilty of this, because I want to help people.
We want to help people.
Yeah, we want to help people. We have to stay within lines, and we have to enforce it. And we have to be more, forefront with education. Because I'm dealing with this right now. I have a customer again. They are expecting disaster recovery and business continuity planning, which includes natural disasters. That's not part of what our deliverable is. So we have to have a conversation about, hey, if you want to go with our vCISO operation, that's part of that. Tabletop exercises are part of that. That's not part of us just delivering IT and cyber. And it's a tough conversation to have, but I think more of us need to have that conversation. And we need to just be more forefront with it and saying, look, these are the things that aren't included, period. If you're doing IT and like a cybersecurity technical package with us, all this other stuff is not included. If you want that, you got to buy this because it's a different skill set. It's more expensive to deliver on our end because you have to be trained. You should have a level of training for it. And customers just don't, for some reason, our industry is the one that's treated like this. And I'm sure there's some other industries that are treated like this, but we just seem to have done this to ourselves and we need to get out of this.
Not wrong.
That's my rant for that. So I take full responsibility. Like I said, we want to help people, but at the end of the day, we got to, it's not good for our business either if we're just giving things away that are, taking us away from our core deliverable. Yep. So.
Truth.
But something that's going on right now that's affecting all of us is Ingram Micro.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do business with Ingram Micro? Assuming you do?
Nope. Thankfully.
Okay. Well, it's affecting me a little bit.
Sorry.
So what is Ingram Micro?
They're one of the largest IT distributors in the world, including if you buy something from Amazon, it may actually get delivered from Ingram Micro.
Yep.
CDW uses them. Other people use them. They had a bad weekend. They had a bad 4th of July weekend. They got hit with ransomware. And they're still not up. I think in other countries that you can call in and process it, but their systems are down.
Mm-hmm.
They got absolutely smacked. And I want to talk about the group that hit them. So do you guys know much about SafePay?
You're going to tell us. I read up on it after seeing the Ingram breach, but
you're damn right I'm going to tell you about this.
Go for it.
This is good. So
Bring it.
they came up in the second half of last year. So in 2024, they have ascended rapidly. In May, they were the number one APT for ransomware. So advanced persistent threat group for ransomware. Straight up. This is not a ransomware as a service operation. They don't do that. They are a monolithic ransomware organization, which means they don't sell their shit. They just come after you. They are big cat hunting is what they're doing. You're the lion and they're coming after you. And if you have a technical vulnerability to get into your network, they're going to find it, they're going to exploit it, and they're going to hit you with ransomware. And that's what they did. It looks like Palo Alto was the VPN provider for Ingram. And I don't know if they didn't patch it. I don't know if they had a compromise of a credential. That seems the way they got in. That's alleged. But they do it. It is kind of incredible. Some people think they're part of Inc. ransomware group, LV. I think maybe some people from Lockbit came over or something around there. They're trying to figure this out specifically. These are advanced operators. These guys don't mess around. They are extremely talented.
They're industry veterans, and I'm not so good industry.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And even on their website, if you go to their dark web page where they list all the victims, they even say SafePay ransomware has never provided and does not provide the RAS, which is ransomware as a service. They are very clear that there's no affiliates tied to this. They are just doing this for their own benefit. So Lockbit, LV, Black Cat, Inc. ransomware, the ransomware itself looks like it's a mixture of all that. So that's probably how they really kind of push forward so fast. But yeah, they're in May, they were the number one, and they just hit Ingram Micro here in July. They did 58 out of 70 attacks for multiple security firms in May. 58 out of 70 major ransomware attacks. They don't mess around.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of like smaller companies you never heard of on their dark website, but Ingram Micro being the major one that they hit. They also in North Carolina, I think it was, they hit Marlboro Chesterfield Pathology back in January, and they exposed the data of like 200,000 people. And we can't leave this without going into a different tactic. Scattered Spider. You guys have heard of them, right?
Yep.
Boy, have you seen the list of victims they've had the last couple of weeks? Whew. So these guys are a little different. They are incredibly good at social engineering, tricking help desks into giving up accounts. And when that happens, boy, do they have some fun. These guys, I'm just gonna read this off. This is crazy. AT&T, Snowflake customers, Twilio, who does a lot of like telecommunications, Caesars Entertainment, MGM last year, Advanced Auto Parts, Ticketmaster, Lending Tree. If you're in the UK, Marks and Spencer. Let's see, Adidas, Victoria's Secret, Aflac, Erie Insurance, Philadelphia Insurance Companies, Qantas Airline, WestJet Airline apparently, and Hawaiian Airline. And the airlines were all hitting the same, like this month. They just went after airlines. And then insurance was last month. It's like they're going sector by sector, different months.
Yeah.
And just targeting them. So
Getting their vertical messaging together.
What's that?
Yeah. It was retailers in May.
There's an efficiency there.
Yeah. Retailers in April and May. June was insurance companies. In July was airlines. These guys, I mean, their knowledge of like Okta and being able to like get in there and actually like do things in there is incredible. But here's what they do. They partner with ransomware as a service operators. So they're the initial access broker. They get the credentials, they get in, and then they hand it off. And they share the profit. And their preferred one right now is Dragon Force, I think, is for ransomware. The last ones I've seen that were Dragon Force, which is incredible. So all that being said, we had the insurance part, how important it is to have all that stuff. We talk about two different advanced persistent threats. One is all about deploying ransomware. If you have RDP over the internet, if you have VPN, they might be right. That's how they get in. They get in through through outside technical resources. And then you have Scattered Spider. All they do is trick people. They could trick your MSP, your managed IT company. They could trick your internal IT to reset credentials. And they get in, and they are incredibly good at it. I read off some big names that are just incredible. But yeah, it's important to have a cybersecurity program. It's important to have insurance. It's important to meet those requirements and not make this list.
More than meeting the requirements, make sure that you've got a documented program for when you got to show up in court and say and prove what you did to protect clients.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right, gentlemen, we went pretty long today.
Let's
What's
get
next?
started. We can go. Let's do 24 hours.
Just warmed up.
20. Let's do an hour. Let's do 24 hours now.
You want to do a 24-hour?
We're doing it.
Chat.
If we do that, we're raising money for a charity. We're raising money for something. So, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, we can talk about that. But like 100% be willing to do something like that where we raise money.
Not this week. Those were the big things. But I mean, I do want to circle back to the whole application for cyber insurance thing, and it's clear. We've got to dot our I's and cross our T's. The days of ignoring things are long gone.
And that's a really good point, Matt. You dotting your I's, cross your T's, but make sure that what's on the application is accurate at the time. At that time, because
don't lie will not help you.
Well, some people might not be lying when they feel they just don't know the correct answer. What the question was.
That's a good point. Ask
if
questions.
If you look at the full application, a business person can't answer half those questions without having to. So it gets
That'd be like me trying to do my own taxes. I don't. That's why I have a CPA.
Sure, that's a deduction.
Potato launcher? Why not? Business expense.
Yeah.
No?
But yeah, be safe out there. If you need help, let us know. And also, seriously, if you have an IT budget that's actually defined, please comment. Let us know. I'd love to see it. I don't need to see your budget, but I'd just love to see.
Love to know that they even thought about and had a budget.
Yeah. And if you have a percentage of it broke down for cybersecurity inside that budget,
yes,
we got to have a conversation because I want to talk to you for just to try to convince other people.
That's new territory. That's going to become the norm.
Anyway, guys, have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.